All right, so we've had a great run the last several weeks, sort of on a theme. We don't have that like premeditated. When we have talks, we just kind of go with either what you're asking for on the spontaneous, on the moment, the day, or sometimes someone might request something a day or two before and I might go with it. But it's all pretty spontaneous typically. And so it wasn't planned, but we went with this theme, I guess in a nutshell, about identity. Knowing who we are. I mean, it's just, that's the essential thing. Everything we do in life is based on, believe it or not, is based on who we believe we are. You can say, oh, I've been married 3 times. That's determined based on who you believe you are. I was an addict. That's coming from who you believe you are. I won the lottery. It's based, everything you can experience. My children are great. My children are troubled. All of it is a reflection of us and what we believe about ourselves. Now, some of us go, but I don't get it because I'm a really nice person and everybody in my life is nuts. So how could that be reflecting me? I'm actually decent. I wouldn't argue that to you. I wouldn't say you must secretly be a nutty person. No, I think you are a good person if you believe you're a good person. But deep, deep on a soul level, there's these purgings that happen. I mean, I've had it happen where I clean a vessel, a cup, something, you know, like I wash a dish. And then when I wash the dish, I always check it one more time, my hand, and I'll go, oh, there's still a little bit of food. I can tell it's always cheese because that's all I eat. But there's some cheese that's baked into the pan. See, and I find it. So that's it. The plate is clean. I'm not hallucinating when I go, oh, I did clean it. I did put work into it. You did work on yourselves. Give yourselves credit. Oh, but there's a little something. So what? Clean that now. You don't have to undermine the work you've done just because of one little piece left. So, yes, people in our lives magnify, because that's what people are. The world does this, but people magnify. If the people that annoyed us would simply walk up to us and hand us a business card, hi, in a few minutes I'm going to act like a complete jerk, but I'm actually just magnifying 1,000-fold, one little spark of lesson for you. You know, it'd be easier to deal with it. Okay, go ahead. Okay, it would be easy, but nobody does that. You know, they don't typically take responsibility and go, look, here's where I'm coming from. They vent, and so A Course in Miracles tells you, if you would understand that everything is either love or the cry for love, it would change the way you see it all. So people don't do that. They don't go, hi, I'm going to give you a cry for love today. So I really need you to be patient with me. Instead, hi, honey, I know we've been married, 10 years, 50 years or whatever, and not once have I been faithful. Not 1 year have I, and you just go, oh my God. But they forgot to go, I'm about to bring up some stuff, and it's a cry for love. If people could do that, it would be easier, but they don't. That doesn't mean our job is to blame them for not showing us their business card. Our job is to know this. Keep knowing it. Keep reminding yourself at the beginning of every day. Be with me, Lord. I'm going in. And if I'm not back in 1 hour, send in the troops after me. Like, basically, think of it that way. This is what's called a light worker. So that's what we're going to talk about. I just realized. So, good. Being a light worker. But back in the 80s, I came up with that term, light worker. All right? I don't know. It was because I think of God as light, so I ended up making up the name light worker. Now, there's a lot of people on the internet that use the term. They don't remember or credit that I did that because they, whatever. That's the way people are. But what I like about it is I came up with the term myself. And I had other things like my newsletter was the light bringer, the light word, bear. That's the way I was doing things and still do. But I had this term light worker. All I'm pointing out here is people are on the internet saying light worker and they're giving you the definition. It's my term. Don't tell them the definition for my term. And they'll say, light workers are fifth dimensional beings. They're in touch with aliens. And they'll have all kinds of, and they're friends of Sasquatch. And they have all kinds of cute definitions. But no, you didn't make up the word, I did. So here's my definition, and it's simple. God is light. If you're working on anchoring the presence of God in the world, you're a light worker. That's it. You don't add other stuff. You don't make up other stuff. It's light workers. And I tend to capitalize the word even when I use it, because the light in the word light worker is supposed to be the light of God. But some people don't get that either. So what I'm saying is, we're all light workers when we decide to anchor the light of God. I don't care if you're doing it as a mommy, as a social worker, as a nurse, a doctor, as a healer, Reiki practitioner, whatever. Even if you simply work in construction, but you try to make a difference in people's lives, you're a light worker. What I would recommend is owning it a bit more. Instead of sort of accidentally being a light worker, I think your life can change if you go, wow, I think I'm going to commit, not just do good, I'm going to do it in the name of God. Not just be a human who does a bit of good, but recognizes this is my soul's purpose. And then everything starts ramping up. Now the good news is, when you own, I'm a light worker, when you know your identity, the curriculum of your life starts to fall into place. When you don't know who you are, when you don't know what you're doing with your relationship. Tell me about your relationship. Well, I don't know. We're doing okay, but I'm not sure. The uncertainty will bring hell. That's the seemingly unfair rule of this universe. What you do not know and as an affirmative yes to becomes everything else. It's not yes, no, and maybe. It's yes or anything else. When you don't know who you are, the ego of this universe is going to decide for you. It has the right, because we gave up our divinity, seemingly, many millions of years ago. And when we did, we gave power of eternity to the ego and said, anytime I don't know who I am, you get to decide for me. And the ego's like, oh, wow, this is like great, because it can count on humans doing that. Never stepping in and taking control of their lives and owning who they are. So when you say, I'm married, but say I'm gay, and I'm married and we're conflicted because I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to show good to my parents. You know, I'm a guy and I'm married to a woman the way you wanted me to, or I marry the race you wanted me to, and so on. If it's not authentically you, you're going to pay for it. And when you do that, oh my God, that challenging moment of, here's who I am. Let's say in this instance, gay. I don't care what they do. They, whatever. They can, oh my God. That's their problem. Own it. Because even their whining is a test for you to hold your center. Mom, Dad, yeah, I know this might be an issue for you, but it is the way it is. And if you want to, you can say, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you 90 days to cope. I'll check back in 90 days. When I call to check in, if you're going to say anything other than, you are our beloved child in whom we are well pleased, don't answer the phone. And I'll know your answer. That's all you got to do. Put everybody on notice. This is where I'm at. And it could be, Mom, Dad, I know you helped put me through law school, but I'm a florist. I can feel it. I want nothing more. When I wake up and go to sleep, I'm thinking of flowers. That's me. I'm going to own it. Now, 90 days notice, call them 90 days. They don't answer, you're done. You're a florist and you don't have parents. Now you're an orphan florist. You can even open a store. Orphan florist, Let it become you. Whatever you are, just more and more step into it. Okay, I won't go any further with that. You get the idea. But even the word light worker, that's who I am. That's what I do. It's because what I do comes from who I am. This isn't like unusual news. Remember I shared in the identity conversations, one of the points I made was Jesus' parents. Oh, Jesus is missing. Where's he gone? And they're looking around. When they find him, he's like, why would you be looking anywhere? Where'd you look, at a bar? I'm 10. And you know what I'm about. I'm a divine being. What made you think you had to look? Go to some place where people are talking about God. And they're like, oh, we've been looking in liquor stores, and we were looking, at all kinds of places. The bocce ball court. Figure out where he was. It was simple. So When you know who you are, the rest starts to fit in there. I've had a counseling session, I remember one many years ago where this gal, she was beside herself about her partner, and, it's a guy she met, and we're in a wonderful relationship. And then about a year later, they were in crisis, and they came to me for a conversation. And her whole thing was, he's still, he flirts with other women and this and that and the other. I said, no, wait, I know this guy. I've seen him at many places. I've talked to him many times. I said, knowing him, even though I don't think it's cool to fool around, and do all these kinds of things, here's the thing I admired. He announced it. When they met and when he met anybody else, just FYI, even if I date you, this is how I am. I'm going to date other people. So she's doing that, but I can't believe he's doing it. But didn't he tell you? Yes, he did. Who has the problem here? You want me to fix him? He was actually the only honest one of the two of you. You needed to own honestly, this is where he was coming from. So, and I didn't say it as firmly but this is the way it is. I really admired, I didn't agree with the style and all that of the person, but in this instance, I admired that he said, this is how I am. This is how it's going to be. And I think that was very cool. When you know who you are, make it clear who you are, therefore what you're about, therefore what people can expect. Is that making sense? All right. So if you're a light worker, that's what people could expect from you. The downside is that light workers, although it sounds like I'm a light worker, and you say it and you expect, some sort of, grandiose announcement. But one of the things that comes with being a light worker, there's going to be two that I'm going to address. One, it takes a new level of responsibility. If you're going to say I'm a light worker, instead I just accidentally do kindness, light worker means this is my life. I'm not going to accidentally do it once in a while. I mean, this is what I'm about. This is what you can expect from me. The second thing, which overlaps the first, is that often when you're a light worker, you forget your own needs. And you start overly taking care of others. It's just one of the hazards of the job. So that one I want to address, I guess, more specifically. Because most people listening to this type of talk, I mean, there's an occasional person that would be listening online or whatever, and they go, I'm not into this at all, fine, then they should go on to somewhere else. But if you're watching this, there's part of you that understands what I'm saying. You're either totally already committed to being a light worker, or you're kind of like, well, maybe that applies to me. Great. Either way, I'm cautioning you on the issue of self-care. Because light workers are often the types, like I said, social workers, nurses, and so on, who often care for everybody and not themselves as much. And I guess I'll give you a very vivid example of this. But the vivid example I'll share from my life was given to me in a specific instance I'll share. But deep down, what I was told, first of all, if you're a light worker, Michael, you're going to need to look at the deeper meaning of this event. When you're a light worker, that's one of the other things that you start to do besides responsibility, besides more self-care. It's also taking responsibility to look at the deeper meaning of things. Not overanalyze life, but do listen. When things happen, look at how it applies to you a bit more. So I'm going to share a story of mine, but I'm asking you to do what I was told, which is ask yourself how this is applying to you as I share the story. Because it's not an accident that I'm sharing the story. All right? A story or two, whatever comes up, okay? So tune in. Instead of going, Michael's telling us about his life. No, that's not a light worker. A light worker is somebody that goes, oh crap. This applies to me too, doesn't it? I'll give you a few examples so that you can't get escape with at least one of them hitting you, landing. So, just zip on your Velcro suit because something's going to hit and stick, okay? For me, this was a very kind of interesting story. The one that's coming to mind first, for many, many, many years, I mean, traveling and traveling and traveling. So my life for 40 years has been touring and traveling a lot. But it made for precarious kind of scenarios. One of them, kind of a simple thing, there's a certain amount of loneliness when you're by yourself and you're traveling and that's all you do. But it wasn't a physical loneliness for me. It was more of a mental, like who can I connect with, right? Do you understand? Do you feel that? So some of you might already be tuning into that. Now we're asked, okay, look, this idea of dealing with the stuff that humans go through, but you're asked to be doing it at a different level, a more responsible level. So I'm kind of going, look, I know that I'm serving God. I know that God appreciates all that I do for people, all I or we do for people. And I'm realizing, but at the same time, am I allowed to have needs? If you're a light worker, are you allowed to have needs? Are you allowed to have preferences or whatever else it is? You know, but as human beings, it's like, if you're going to be a light worker, you have to kind of have a different mindset, which is serve God, serve others, but also take care of your own needs. And good luck. Because being a light worker already has this tendency to be selfless, which means the world will tell you if you have needs, you're selfish. Is that making sense? Okay, let that land. So for me, even with past life influences, in this lifetime, there was a part of me constantly pushing that away. Like I'm going to call it shaming having needs. Now, it might not have been full-on shaming, but it was there a bit. So it was like, I shouldn't have needs. All right? So this had to show up for me. Back in the 90s, it showed up. It showed up here and there, but here's an instance of how it manifested. So one time I'm flying across country, and my flight landed in Vancouver, BC. Now, I was living in the Northwest, so not only am I arriving in BC, I'm flying across country, I still have a couple hours drive to get home. So it's traveling all day. And I'm thinking, and the way I feel is when I finally get home, which is only for a few days a month, I'm looking forward to getting home. Is that okay or is that selfish? But I'm looking forward to getting home. Now, is it okay that I get home and take care of things there? Because even there, I'm still taking care of things, you know. But is it okay? I'm going to get home, have a few days. Is that meaning that I'm happy to not be on tour and helping people? No, no, no. You know, the ego is going to mess with you like that. No. So I was very clear. And I was happily putting my life 23 hours a day for people. But can I have needs 1 hour? Just 1 hour. So I fly all this way. Now, I tell my ride, it's a partner or friend, I'm going to be arriving, will you pick? Yes, I'll pick you up, you know, as usual. Okay, pick me up, great. Then she says, can we get something to eat? I want to get home. But you want food? All right, fine. So then, well, I've picked a restaurant, we'll, you know, get something to eat. Can we do fast food? Oh, no. They want to go and sit somewhere to eat. I want to get home, and it's later and later at night. So, okay. So I get there, they're not even there. And they got delayed for a couple of hours. I end up in a cab. This is, see, a lot of you people are too young to remember. They used to have these taxi cabs. You know, you all are into Uber. Back in the old days when I was a kid, we had taxis. So I take a cab to this restaurant. They're nowhere to be found, and they're not even there for a couple of hours. So I'm like, you know, okay. I get in line. The line's coming out the door of this restaurant. Okay, fine. All right, so I'm waiting in line, and you know, and it's like there's all kinds of confusion, and there's empty tables, but the line's not moving. I'm going, what? So finally, I realize, and while I'm in line, conversations, light workers, weird, random conversations will happen. It's a symptom of being a light worker. So I'm in line, and you know, somebody's bringing up the bizarre, differing conversations. I mean, like one person brought up a song. You know, and we're talking about a song. You remember that artist? Oh, yeah, you know, we're just chatting about that. Another person brought up erectile issues, believe it or not. Somebody else is bringing, I mean, different conversations, and I'm like, wow, this is just bizarre. But you're a light worker, so you know, you kind of move. Now, if you don't own that you're a light worker, this is going to seem surreal. You're going to think, God, people are strange, and why are they bringing this up? Why are they talking to me? You won't ask that when you own you're a light worker. This is the norm. So it's like, okay, this person's bringing up this song, another person this personal issue, this other person something else. But I'm going, the line's not moving, something's on. So I realize that the hostess is dealing with these pages that are a mess with names. Okay, the Merdad party, or whatever, right? And none of it's working. So I go up there and there's these clipboards and I said, could we get fresh pages? So, now you're stepping into management level as a light worker. So I said, can I get some fresh pages? So I get fresh pages on the clipboard. Then I go down the, names, getting names of people. And then I said, now just call out these names. And, so they start doing it. Everything's cool. Now, in the meantime, I go back and my spot in line is gone. So I have to get to the back of the line again. Because you're a light worker. You don't want to bring up an issue and you don't want to bring up anything that could be confrontational. You're a light worker, so you go to the back of the line. By the way, going to the back of the line is fine if you're okay with it. If you are not okay with it, you are rescuing. You are sacrificing. Very unhealthy. Yes. If you're conflicted, like, I wish I would get my spot back, if you feel that way, get it back. Because if you go and give it up, oh no, I'm just helping others, I'll just go to the end of the line. You're being a rescuer. It's not healthy, and I'm telling you, it will come back and bite you. You have to be true to yourself. So I was fine. I was like, okay, whatever. My person's not here anyway. So I go to the back of the line. Now, when I'm at the back of the line, another issue pops up. There's some lady was out in her car, and she was trying to clean out her car or whatever, and her dog got out of the car, and it's running around chasing this stray dog. Okay. Now I'm going to go. I go out and I get the dogs and I calm them down, and then she ended up adopting the one and took both home. Great. Fine. I go back in the restaurant. Oh, the line's gone down. Look at this. This is great. People have gotten seated, however many there were. They're all seated. It's like nice. By this time, somebody walks by. They were one of the people that got seated after my little clipboard thing. So they got seated. They're on their way out. And they're like, hey, thank you so much. I'm like, no worries, man. Glad to help. Light worker. So now it's like, oh, here's where I can say, oh, mani padme hum, Mother, Father, Mother, God. We're going to manifest a perfect table right over there. There we go. There's a couple empty tables now anyway. They're cleaning them up. Great. Could you mind if I go and say, oh, I'm sorry, we're closing. Boom, boom, boom. Like you just want to go, what? Did you not know that I'm a light worker and you're supposed to feed the light workers instead? But at the same time, I swear, there's a part of me that does laugh at these kinds of things. When I'd be on tour and miss a flight because somebody else wanted to fly, fine. And I just laughed. I'm sitting on the floor of some stinking airport for hours and hours and hours and hours because somebody needed a flight, and I gave it up. And I said, it's okay. I thought it was funny at times. And I would go and, before they would close the stores, I'd go and grab something, a donut, nice and nutritious for the night, and something to drink. And I would just sit there and that was my life, alone, constantly in airports and odd things. But I really felt pretty like okay with it. If you're a light worker and you feel okay with the things you do, blessings to you. Anytime you feel conflicted, you better think twice, okay? Now, done, we think. My ride shows up, and I'm like, what happened? Oh, I was just running late, and like brushing me off. Okay, but I'm a light worker. I can handle it. I can handle it. It's fine. And it's true that as a light worker, please remember, look at the deeper meaning of what's happening. I didn't just get dissed by somebody that was supposed to be there and be my ride. And I wanted to get home. I do. That's in my mind, when I'm stuck in an airport and all that in those days, in my mind, I would partly just think about where I'm going. I'm going to get home. And I loved where I lived, and we had a beautiful retreat. So I just looked at the light at the end of the tunnel, and that kept me up inside. Does that make sense? Okay. So give yourself the light at the end of the tunnel, whether you're a light worker or not, whether you're struggling or not. Focus on the light of where you're going, and it really helps you move and navigate through stuff that might otherwise be a bit channeling, all right? So for me, that worked. It was like, okay, I'm going to, I can't wait to get home, but I'm not getting home. and this isn't work. And then the person shows up and they're like, oh, well, no big deal. And I'm thinking, wow. So I realized God was saying to a degree, Michael, I think it's great that you help people. I think it's great that you like helping people. I mean, this is fantastic. But I want you to also care about yourself. And this is not just God to Michael 40 years ago, 30 years ago. This is to you. Now you have to figure out if this is accurate and there's meaning behind this for you. Where are you allowed to say, what about me? But not be selfish, not feel selfish. What about you? And I know there's lots of people that overuse that. It's my needs and I want my needs met. I'm like saying, needs are silly most of the time. Needs often come from human ego. So I'm not talking about egoic needs. I'm talking about what you feel is a balanced lifestyle. For me, I'm working 23 hours a day. For 1 hour, can I take care of myself? All right? Or figuratively, that is, 1 hour. So we have to decide, if we have value, is the way I'm going to say it. If you know who you are spiritually, then you'll know that you have value. And if you have value, it's easier for you to own that you have needs. If I don't have value, my needs are egoic. Does that make sense? If I don't know who I am, my needs come from neediness and codependence and gross things. But when you know who you are, you can have healthy needs. When they came to arrest Jesus, at times, they tried a few times before it actually happened. Do you know that he just said, no, I'm not in the mood? And the soldiers, Roman soldiers, walked away confused. And you imagine going back to the authorities? Hi, where's Jesus? Well, he said he wasn't quite in the mood to be arrested. Could you imagine that? Now, Roman soldiers actually get beat sometimes to death for not obeying. So that wasn't good. How and why did he do that? Because he knew exactly who he was and what he was open to. Today, I will not be getting arrested. Like the Jedi mind trick. You will not be needing to see our papers. We will not need to see your papers. So Jesus was like, oh, I will not be arrested today. Okay. And they walk away going, wait, what just happened? Seriously. So if you can own who you are, you can still have needs. I'm needing you to not arrest me today. Done. That's a healthy need. So I had to sit with this and allow this kind of conversation in the mind. And this person who was inconsiderate, didn't pick me up on time, and all that was a first mirror, a major mirror of this. It's not that they're bad. It's, I need to rethink this. Because they're mirroring my belief that I don't have value, therefore you don't have to pick me up. Get that? So I sat with this and realized, all of a sudden I'm going, wait. The girl with the dog running and all the chaos, she's mirroring chaotic parts of my life that I need to look at. The dog's out of control. Wait, it's not just her, the animal's out of control. I'm seeing it as a mirror of my life being out of control. The dog being left in the car, wanting to get out. Loneliness. Right? The dog that was running around, and nowhere to go. That was me wanting to get home and eat. Or have something, see what I'm doing? So I'm going, wow, I get it. Each person is sort of playing a role. So I sit with this, in the time that I'm sitting waiting for the ride and all that. So haven't been fed, haven't gotten home. There's the homeless dog and I'm on the road all the time. See the metaphors. So relationships out of control. So I keep looking at this. Oh, the guy, the erectile issues. If you just walked in, I swear that fits this conversation. The guy with the erectile issues, that's me not owning my power. Making potent decisions for myself. So I got that going on. But then the song. Remember I said we were talking about a musician and a song? Yeah, that's a good one. So the song from the 70s was We Just Disagree. Dave Mason. There ain't no good guy, there ain't no bad guy. There's only you and me, and we just disagree. So I'm sitting there with that in my mind. So this person's going to be pulling up thinking, oh, I just showed up whenever I wanted. And in my mind, really, because we're done. I've had some time to think. While you've been, wherever you've been, you arrived and we're done. And I was concluded. And as I'm driving the couple hours home, in my mind, as they might be sitting there, wondering if I'm mad or whatever, one of the needs, I'm allowed to call you out for not showing up. See, and part of me would be like, oh, I shouldn't, and that's not spiritual. Guys, it is too spiritual. Jesus called people out. There were times when Jesus said, get behind me. Satan, get out of my way. There were times when he said, man, you people are nutty in the temple doing what you do. You're doing day trading as part in a spiritual temple. Do spiritual related things, Called them out and they recorded it. It's probably on Zoom somewhere or Facebook. Jesus called people out. Headlines, how dare him? No, he was right to do it. All he was saying was, this is alignment, this is misalignment. You guys are living here and not here. He didn't hate him for it. He just said, this is what's happening. So I had to allow myself finally to speak up. And I knew what was going to come back. Oh, well, you're not being very nice. You're not being very spiritual. I'm not yelling and I'm not hating. But in my head as I'm driving, there ain't no good guy. There ain't no bad. And I'm thinking, we just disagree. But disagree, that's not the words I ended it with in my mind. And we're done. This doesn't mesh because I'm going to work 23 hours a day, but 1 hour I need you to do something. But this isn't like I made up what I wanted them to do. It's pretty simple. I need you to pick me up at the airport on time. One of the reasons you're in my life as part of our agreement is to do these very things. Well, I thought it was just about romance. No, I don't need romance. If you're going to be in my life, 1 hour out of 24, do something. Book a flight. So it sounds so, to some people, so unreasonable. I'm telling you that if you have demands 90% of the time on people, it might be imbalanced. But if you're because the daddy was working hard, the daddy was earning money, the daddy was taking care, and the mommy part of me was doing what? Service, taking care of the kids constantly, but never taking time to go to the spa. See, the inner mommy? So the inner father was working hard, the inner mommy was taking care of the kids, which is everybody on the planet, but not doing a spa day. So for mom to say, you know what, kids, one of you is old enough, you're driving, I asked you to pick me up and you never showed up. Well, mom, you don't have to be that way. Mom's allowed to be that way. She's allowed to say, what the hell? What's going on? Call people on things. You're allowed. It doesn't make you a bad woman or person. So I did. I was like, okay, look, the person or persons in my life that have ever been in my life, they had my credit cards. They could do anything. Fly anywhere you want. Go anywhere you want. Eat anything. Do anything. Get spas. Get your nails done. Do whatever you want. That was my gift. Give you everything. Just like I feel like I do for everybody. Everything I can give, I give. But if you're in my life as part of my life, and our agreement is that you have to do a few things, just a few things. Book a flight. Instead of, I was at the spa, and so I didn't remember to book a flight, so we might have to cancel a tour. I'm not going to be okay with that. But I held it in, and I held it in, and I held it in too long. And I had to find the balance where I can say, this is now going to be part of a clear agreement. I don't need any, like a partnership. I don't need anything, much of this world at all. But we'll have agreements. For those who want to fulfill certain roles, we'll have agreements. You're a friend, that's fine. But if you're going to get further into my life, then you're further into my life, and my life is busy. So you're going to have to understand that if you're further into my life, there's things like that you got to deal with. He's never around and all that. If it's not working for you, don't. We just disagree. There's no good guy or bad guy. Just own it. So as light workers, you don't have to make people wrong for not being able to fulfill your needs. But you also don't have to let them make you wrong for having them. It's fine. Balance. Balance. Mom, would you be my ride to a class I'm going to take at night? Let's say you say, okay, sure. And then you say to them, and one of those nights I have to be somewhere, so I'll give you the car and you pick me up. And if they say no, you're allowed to say, contract broken. It's okay, because you're wanting to speak for your sake of balance, but you're also teaching them about healthy balance. So it was very, it's very interesting to go through like all the bits of these things, because it's human stuff, it's day-to-day stuff. And if you're a light worker, especially in a role like I've been in all my life, the teacher, when is it okay for me to say, look, there's certain things I want happening, right? Can you make sure I have a hotel? And if they booked me in some weird hole-in-the-wall place, which only happened once in a while, and let me say, there were times when I've had people in my life that did a great job getting things scheduled and all that. There have been great times. I'm referring to the times when my life, your life, when we go out of alignment, out of control, somebody has to reel it in. The dog's running around outside your car, it could get hurt. Reel it back in. There's signs of impotence. Reel it back in. Be potent in your life. Be clear. You see? Just look at the areas, the symbols of what's not working. If you're driving on bald tires, that's an accident waiting to happen. Well, I don't have money to get them, treads and whatever, new tires and whatever. I understand that. I've been there. We've all been to those places in our lives. But certainly don't, number one, act shocked if one blows out. Two, don't blame someone else who you wished had given you alimony on time so you could get the tires. Stay home and chill if you have to. Don't get into hate. Don't get into blame. So I don't want to sound like I'm enabling your venting on people because you're a light worker. That's not what I'm saying. You're seeking balance, and what doesn't work, you start trimming off the extraneous stuff. It's right to do. God wants you to. No, God didn't say on the drive, Michael, break her the news now. Just slow to 20 and open the door. God didn't say for me to do anything hurtful. There's no good guy. There's no bad guy. It's simply done. And to be able to sit with that and go, and it's worth looking at why you're afraid to bring it up. Are you afraid of confrontation? That's probably something for you to look at. Why is it a confrontation? Why are you assuming that? You're just wanting to take care of yourself. The ego is going to tell you that you should either take from others or you should let everybody take from you. It never wants you here. It wants you out here. Being abused or abusing others. A victimizer or a victim. It never wants you to feel peace. So today is also a reminder of that. Where's the peace and balance in your life? And are you allowed to call it forward? Are you allowed to say, I have anxiety over things that don't even need to be happening in my life. Let me just reel this in. So it's something that takes us to a whole new level of responsibility. Now, this is kind of funny because this isn't the only time that something like this happened. In all my years, this is certainly kind of a pattern where I had to go, when is it okay for me to say no and not be accused of being a bad person? Well, that's an adolescent technique of theirs. Why are you going to allow someone venting on you to make you think you've done wrong? Only one reason. If you don't know who you are, you make yourself susceptible to other people's opinions of who you are and what you deserve. Does that make sense? Think about that. Their venting or their retaliation on my speaking up for myself is only coming from my uncertainty, which means, thank you for showing me my uncertainty. I'm going to now fire you because I don't need to hire you anymore to show me my lack of value. See, so you can retire now and let them go. But I do remember one time I flew into a major city, and another time, and this is an odd one, but there were these 3 gals, and they're like, well, you've been here already an hour. We've got all our luggage and we're leaving. One piece got lost, so they had to wait an hour. So they saw me and they're like, you're still here? I mean, where's your ride? And it was somebody that decided to stop and get something to eat on their way to pick me up. So I was waiting, and they went to McDonald's, which should have been faster than this, but I digress. So they didn't show up for a while, so I'm sitting at the curbside at this airport waiting for my ride. They didn't show up, and these 3 gals go by, and they're going, oh, we're going out to get our rent-a-car. You want to go with us? I'm like, go where? We're just doing a cross-country thing. Three caring girls, the person not picking me up. You know, and I could own and laugh that, oh, this, good one, this, because, you know, and God's like, I'll give you 5 to 1, he's gonna, you know, and they're gambling on the other side, they're like gambling as, what's he gonna do? And they know, you know, he's not gonna do it, and I didn't. But why did it manifest? Because, guys, if you ever saw the movie, the one movie about Jesus where he starts to die on the cross and he goes into a daydream of what life would have been like if he would have done life differently, where he gets to just hook up with Mary Magdalene and be married and, you know, and have a different life. So did any of you ever see that? Yeah. What was the name of that?
I don't know.
Last Temptation. So here he is, and oh, the churches were up in arms. How dare them portray that? Shush. You get to entertain the idea that what if, just what if, Jesus, did he ever have a moment, and I swear that he did he ever have a moment where he said, this is the life I'm doing, but what if I would have been just kind of allowing myself to just be a good guy and be a guy and not this thing I'm doing? And so, you know, the vision goes into him being in a relationship, and it's really kind of cool. The music by Peter Gabriel made it even better. So, The Last Temptation of Christ, I think it was called. Or just The Last Temptation, I don't remember what. But anyway, so check it out. And that's what it felt like. I'm sitting there going, wow, I get to see what else I could have done. Michael, is it okay if you just go play? This would have been weird, spontaneous, and whatever. Well, I'm on my way to a tour, first of all. I'm not going to not do a tour for this. But if I was on my way home, what would I have done? I just, in my life, I typically never did things like that. I just never did, even as a kid. I just never went too far off into these other areas. But what's beautiful is the concept. Am I allowed to ask myself, yes, what if? Then I have a choice. Once the what if leaks out of your being and manifests as an occurrence, you need to decide which decision you're going to make and be true to it. So if you say, what if I didn't get married to somebody that really takes from me all the time? It's not coming up by accident. You're being put in a position to say, I see the what if, what am I going to do about it? Make a decision and leave, or stay, but whichever one you're going to do, make sure you can do it well. If I was your partner and I was a what if in your life and you were thinking about going, I would say goodbye right now anyway. I would want to encourage you to go to your what if until you were certain that this is what you wanted, which sounds ludicrous to some people. But I'm advising it, but I'm also saying I would choose it myself. I would live that way if I were in that same circumstance. So let yourself contemplate the what if, but don't just sit there wishing. Do or don't do. You know, fully own it. And so, because I was so good at that in my mind, I could sit there and say to them, oh, no, it's a good, no, come with us. Oh, you seem like a great guy. No, we'll have fun. I know. I can do the math. A blast. But on the outside, I'm going, no, thank you. And inside, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? But inside, you know, that's inside, outside. And that's how I would deal with things. In my mind, I would go through them and end up concluding and doing what I knew was the right thing. Not a sacrifice. The right thing in mind, body, soul, for me and everyone concerned. I was pretty good at that. Still am, you know, but that, it's called, in a sense, spiritual conscientiousness. But I still had to ask myself, so Michael, once again, good boy, you know, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the whatever, you know, the proper behavior and, you know, so on and so on. But why are you manifesting the thought? Why is there even a temptation? It would not be there if I was totally happy with my circumstances. It's true. So in that circumstance, I went, I have to change my criteria of who's picking me up. It's true. You know, be clearer. You said, I need someone to pick me up. Well, 3 girls tried to pick me up, but that's different. See, you got to get clearer about the wording. I meant a ride to, you know, my place. So this is all about combing out the knots. You know, combing or brushing out the knots and refining our lives. I'm a light worker and I still deserve good things. Good things doesn't have to mean wild things. It just means I want to comb out things that aren't working for me. So I got in the car with that person and they were like, there was a weird vibe about it. Like this passive aggressive thing they did. And in my mind, I'm already done. Thanks for the ride. You get me where I'm going and that's it. I'm going to change who my ride is and everything in my touring style. If I was booking, you know, events at centers and I had snags all the time, guys, it's not right that they have problems at those centers. They have a job to do things right. But why is it in my life? And I need to think about why is that coming my way and what can I do about it? And make changes. Change what you can and accept what you can't. But absolutely step up and change what you can. For who? You, because you have value. If things are going weird, it's a question of your value. Clean it up and say to the world, no, I have value. Not out loud, but you're saying, I get it. Oh my God, I get it. Now those 3 gals that were at the airport offering to pick me up, they had no idea that in my mind, I was thanking them because of what they symbolized. I might have said no, but thank you for the message. The person that's late picking me up, thank you. This is going to come to an end. You see? You find the things and you mirror, you see them as a mirror, and you take responsibility and you go here with it so that you can process it, clear it, heal it, come back to the world with your conclusion. You don't have to announce exactly all your process. I'm just saying your conclusion. Hey, you know what? I thought about this and yeah, I realize it's, this is done or this is going to change or this is whatever, you know, this is not okay for me. So each of us has to take time to go, what in my life, even the story I told today, some of them are going to be far away from your specific examples, but you have your own anyway. But some of them, at least one, might sort of rub up against something to say, you know, I felt that way before. And what are you doing about it? Clearly, I've said this, I don't know how many hundreds of times in my years teaching here, for example. If something's conflicted, it's going to show up. It's almost like having a cut that's got something in it, it's going to get infected. If you have a conflict, it's like a cut. And if you don't deal with it, clean it up, it's going to get infected. When it gets infected, humans get tempted to blame everybody for it getting infected. But really, I didn't remember to put something on it and clean the wound. I didn't want to clean the wound. I knew it would hurt a little. Doesn't that sound familiar? You know, I didn't want to put alcohol on this cut. It would sting too much. Great. So now what do you have? An infection. And it's going to be more painful to deal with it. Same metaphor for our lives. I didn't want to bring up something in our relationship because, oh, I knew it would go into an argument. Great. Now what do you have? An infection. More to deal with. So learning to deal with these things on time, at the right time, and in the right way. Because if you process properly, it changes the way you do things. I knew that the person that didn't pick me up, they didn't have that neuron. You know, and I'm sitting there like noticing all the nuances of behavior. Oh, well, you know, sorry. Like, get over it. And I'm thinking, oh, I am. And the it is you. No, I didn't say that, but it's true. It's like, yes, you know, I get it. They're thinking that the conversation is about the linear event. And I'm thinking, this is a whole process. You have no idea where I've been in the couple hours you've been gone. You have no, wow, I went everywhere with it. I was dealing with dogs and clipboards and the restaurant and helping people and then not getting fed, you know, because they were closing. All these things. You have no idea how many dimensions I've processed through and came up with some conclusions, and they don't include you. right? I mean, seriously. So, and I know that if I would have said right now out loud, it's over, I would have been blamed for reacting to them being late, and I would have been made wrong and bad, right? So I kept it quiet, processing within myself, and then made changes later. In your life, sometimes the changes you're going to make means you get a different travel agent, and sometimes it means a different relationship. And if you don't want to do that, no problem, stuff it. And it should be obvious where that's going to go. It's going to get infected. Any area of your life that's not thriving, peace, love, happiness, joy, it's conflicted. Some part of you knows it's off and you're not addressing it. Deny it, minimize it, etc. It's going to get infected. So just know in advance. We did the workshop last weekend called You're Not Going Crazy, You're Just Waking Up. And it's in the same vein of this. When someone didn't pick me up, that was a dismantling, meaning rug pulled out from under me. When I'm going into deep places about this, why, God, why am I in this relationship? They just don't even care. That's the emptiness. The disorientation becomes the moment, the third stage, where I'm saying, well, what am I going to do now? But I'm in a relationship and, all that stuff, that's disorientation. So get still, get quiet, ask for guidance. Process and heal in those first three stages. But eventually, now where are we going? Responsibly over the bridge to stage 4 and 5, which is rebuilding a new life. And that's what I did. I'm going to change how I'm doing things. And, and then it's funny how people, no, I'll do it. I promise. I'll book the flights this time. I won't forget next time. I'll pick you up. I won't. Yeah. Sometimes you'll feel right to say, okay, and you should if you feel right. A lot of times, by the time something like this happens, I'm done. It has to happen. There has to be major things to happen or repeatedly. But when I'm done, I'm done. So I wasn't going to go, really? Gosh, a promise? Now I know it's going to be different. I knew this was going to just happen again. So think about this. It might be a hard decision-making period for you, but choose life. Okay? I can tell from some of your faces, you're like, God, I don't know why I came here today. But now I've got to deal with a relationship when I go home. But it's the right thing, And at the core, if you didn't hear me, look at the last few weeks. We talked about value, identity. Who am I really? If I'm uncertain, the world will reflect that. If I don't think I have value, the world will reflect that. And for me, and with past lives of service to humanity and all these things, we took on, many of us, nuns, priests, monks from other lifetimes, people doing spiritual work, we carried with us, as well as in this life, we carried with us, if you ask for something, it's called selfish. That was the ego teaching us that, so that we never found the center. So I learned, no, selfish would be over here, and the opposite extreme, the rescuer, the victim, over here. Somewhere in the middle, divine guidance on my spiritual needs, my personal needs, my healthy needs. And it's okay. I found it to be flawed to have needs because that's what the world taught us. But I saw through it and said, no, wait a minute. It's okay, but come from a balanced place. And please remember, be clear in your relationships. If you're going to have needs, be clear about what they are, and know that if people are in your relationships, if it's somebody that's your ride to work and they often don't show up or show up late, you're late to work, your job's at jeopardy, say something. And you know what they might do? Well, I won't be your ride then. And you can say, well, that would be the same as you being my ride. I know that's hard to deal with these things. But the universe tends to support people when they choose things from their center. That's what miracles are about. Someone making decisions that are righteous. The world will tell you, don't you dare, because bad things can happen. Please remember, and this is amazing that this happens, when I choose from my right self, the universe supports that. You'll get a new car and you won't need their ride. You'll find a better ride, a better partner, a better travel agent. The universe supports us when we come from the right place, even if you have to end a job or divorce a relationship. I can't imagine. Once you do it, you're going to say, I should have done this sooner. Let's take a few centering breaths, please. Setting aside all the stuff of the world. Take a minute, think back over what was shared. Whether it's the perks and pitfalls of being a light worker, or whether it was some of the lessons I shared from my own life. Look at your life. Where can you relate? How can you relate? Have you in the past or currently are you experiencing those kinds of things? There's something that's off. And in the context of today, that has to do with taking care of your needs yourself, self-care. The partner spends all the money on their hobbies so you can't go and get a massage. That would be a good example. We only go on vacations to places they want to go. That would be an example. Think of it as at work, not just relationship. Work. We're not talking about enabling ego needs. We're talking about when you come from your center, a healthy place inside, and something is good for your healthiness, spiritual healthiness, emotional, intellectual healthiness. But someone or something keeps creating snags to where you can't get this. The needs met. Why is that? Just imagine a couple of examples in your life. Do you need to make a micro adjustment, meaning just subtle changes, or is it going to be a complete 180? Be courageous. You're not doing anything right now. You're just asking yourself, the way I did when I sat there, waiting for another, this ride. Fend off thoughts of shame or those kinds of things that could come up when you start considering your needs. Self-care, it's good. Now, consider this. Whatever instances you're thinking about in your life, contemplating in your life, this could be the first sign, or it could be the last. If it hasn't blown up yet, this could be because this is only the first time you're being told, hey, this area of your life needs your attention. Hello. But it could be the last straw. One more time, you allowing this, and it could blow up in a way that's not going to feel good. Do you want to gamble on which one it is? Or do you want to just say, you know what? Whether it's the first or last, I'm going to make changes now. And if you own that you're going to make some changes, hear yourself telling the universe, whatever drama you have prepared to shake me up and make me change this thing, pause, please. I'm stepping into responsibility and I will initiate some changes. Take a minute to tell the universe, hold it. I promise I'm stepping in. Because if you don't make the changes, the universe is going to help you make those changes. And they might not feel pleasant. Often they're more dramatic when we've ignored doing it the easy way. And lastly, just visualize for a moment. What if you initiate minor or major changes and it changes everything? That instance in your life is now back to a center, balance. You might not even be used to such a peaceful kind of a life. But imagine shifting it. Try to picture what it would look like and how the greater good would happen for everybody. Even people you might have had to bid farewell to. Picture them happy and well-adjusted, having moved on. Everybody being given the right to experience betterment. Everyone feeling good, including yourself. Calmer, peaceful, happier. And then we close by giving thanks. We're grateful to hear the message reminder today. We're grateful that we were willing and courageous enough to look at some instances in our own life. We're also grateful that we imagined initiating those changes and seeing the beautiful results if we maintain faith and conviction in that direction. It is not contrary, the idea of being a light worker and having your needs met. And so it is. Slowly reintegrate, please. You know, I pray that this message worked for you today. A little bit different in the sense that sharing a metaphor of an example in my life that you might be able to see parallels to yourself. So I'm sharing this story, and how do you run parallel to that? Where does that apply in your life? Okay? And if you can't parallel it, do your own. You know, just look at your own lessons there. All right? All right, thank you. Please stand. Yes, dear.
Also, if you split the word selfish, if you fish for yourself, you can fish for others.
Nice.
I like that.
The word selfish, she said. If you fish for yourself, you'll be able to fish for others. Yeah. It's so beautiful if you think of the balance to it. Selfless is an extreme. Selfish is an extreme. But self, in the healthy terminology, self-centered. Now, I'm not saying people already misuse that word. I know that's a negative. But centered in self is beautiful. Because it's not going to be centered in my ego self, because my ego isn't centered. Centered in my spiritual self. It sounds so simple. It's going to seem like a tall order because the ego wants to make it seem that way. Please, take care of yourselves, okay? Please, take time to say, you know, is it okay for me to, you know, instead of being the mom doing everything for everybody and going to bed exhausted yet again, can I? And you can be 20 and not even have children and get that point. It's not for mommies only. It's the concept. It's a metaphor. Do you have to be the selfless mommy who never gets her shoulders rubbed? That's old school. It's a lie the ego put us into. Stop. If I'm one with God, it not only does God will for my good, I'm allowed to step into accepting it. So, centered in breath for a moment. And for a few breaths, breathe out thoughts to the concept. Let your shoulders drop. And just like relief, like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. You know, just let go of the old beliefs, the programs that you can't ask for, ... Just let it out. And then be courageous enough to take a few centering breaths in with new. From now on, I'm going to be clearer. People will know, work will know, partner will know, children will know. If they ask anything of me, they're going to know my answer is going to come from a healthy self, and you cannot change my mind. Oh, what a relief. Breathe in value. Oh my God, this is so nice. It's God's will that I be taken care of. And then there's more of me to give to others anyway. It's great. God wills that I say no to unhealthy things. Oh, I'm breathing in that reality. Which is totally congruent with our closing prayer. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. God bless you all. Thank you very much.